Ladies and gentlemen, before becoming an architect, our next speaker worked for Greenpeace for 6 years. And he is now the king of architectural upcycling and recycling. He's the founder of Super Use Studios. He's pioneered the use of locally sourced waste to make beautiful new buildings and places. All hail Césare Peeren.
Now, this is a part of a wind blade. There's 2 parts going around in the audience, also smaller parts, because these are a little bit too heavy. That's a material we've been working with a lot over the last 10 years. And I want to talk, where's the... Yeah. You can see how huge they are. You see the little man on there? And this is where they get produced. It's incredible. And they are actually produced by hand. So in these complicated forms, because they have these complicated forms, people have to produce them by hand, so step by step, layering them like a cake. And then you have these fantastic, huge elements that give us sustainable energy. And they're all over the world. But then, after 15 years or 25 years max, they get wasted. And that means that 20,000 of these objects are wasted every year all over the world. And that number is rising. It's rising. It's going to go to 50,000 pieces. And they're also bigger. Now they are like 80 meters long, 16,000 kilograms of polymers, of plastics and glass fibers. And here we are trying to listen to the material. Like the Campagna brothers also said, the material has a story. The material tells you what it can do and what it wants to be. This is in a kind of testing ground. With most materials, we do workshops. We try to understand what the material does and what we can do with it. So what we found is that it's very good to use for urban furniture. There's one example in Rotterdam, where we're actually using it as a seat. And by making these concrete blocks that are formed in a way that you can get the right positions of the blades, they are perfect seats, and they sit very nice, as you can see with this happy man. And the clue is that we don't change the material. We just gave it another color, and we made an element to put them together. So you also don't spend energy and resources to change this waste into something new. In this playground, we've been doing some more things to it. We've been cutting holes in it. We cut them in pieces. And the big pieces, the heavy parts, which is the root of the blade, that's like 2,000 kilo. That's the first 6 meters. These are the towers. And then the longer elements are dividing this space into little spaces where the kids can play in all kinds of ways, in all kinds of different social setups. And because they are so big, the kids can go in. So we actually created a labyrinth for the kids to crawl through and climb in and sit together, cozy, sheltered from the rain and sheltered from the other kids. And I think it's a kind of like what you get for free with this is this abstract forms. There's a lot of architects working on 3D modeling in complicated programs to make these kind of organic forms. And they are there. They are in the material. They're part of the material. And they... Am I under? And they give a lot of... I think they stimulate the fantasy of the kids. In Almere, we're now finishing these bus stops. 2 bus stops made of 4 blades. And this is what we call eat the whole cow. In most of the projects, we don't want to waste the waste. So we're trying to cut them in pieces so every piece gets a position. So the heavy parts, again, are used as the foundation. Then the lighter parts, the next cut is the roof. And the smallest parts, the tips, are used, like in the Rewind project, as an urban seating to sit under the shelter of the roof. So this all didn't go unnoticed. So the wind industry has made a consortium that wants to deal with the waste problem that they are creating with their sustainable energy. And they're looking into recycling, but they also asked us to join the Genfint consortium. So we're going to try to make this a global resource for design. And the first project we're doing with Siemens is a bridge, a foot bridge, humble bridge. I think we can also make car bridges with the material, but this is the first one. And the funny thing here is, again, that only 30 meters or 35 meters is used as a bridge, and then you still have the root. And the root, in this case, it's a 60-meter blade. It's like 4 meters high. It's like a house. So that will become, because it's at a lake and a river, So one side will become a place for dressing rooms, and the other side will be the start of the playground that will be on the island. So you get added value, not only ecologically, but also functionally. So that's the thing, we're always looking for ways to integrate as much functions as possible into the material. In this example, we put it as a signpost, but we did a study that signpost could actually be the ventilation shaft of this building. It's a 2,000 square meter building for 50% made out of waste materials. And that chimney would be able to replace the huge machines that would normally be on top of the roof to ventilate that building. So it wouldn't use any energy to ventilate the building. Unfortunately, the client didn't dare to do this, not proven technology yet. But now we have another client that is very interested in it. And we're thinking it's a bit like a termite mound. These are naturally ventilated. These houses, they build their houses all over the world in different climates, and they manage to naturally climatize them. And we seem to need, when we build a building, there's like 4 stories on top of it to climatize the building, and we use a lot of oil and resources to do that, and it's not necessary. So now this is a sketch I made a few days ago when I was sitting in a restaurant. So we always end up sketching the whole table full of stuff. And this is like how I think the blades can be used as well as construction. So there's like 30 blades available in the area where this is kind of a concert room, a bit like this space. So you see the inner core. And then we construct it with the blades, like 30 blades, just setting them vertically. And in those blades you can have the staircases, the ventilation system, the water collection. So that's kind of what we call integrated design. That's how nature does it. Which is actually the base of my work, is looking at the processes that happen in nature. Like in this tree, there's also, I think, the aesthetics that come from it. I said once that designing is actually absurd. I think you don't design a form, you give form to the processes that take place in a building, and then a form emerges, like in this tree. Nobody thought like, oh, let's make a beautiful thing. It has to look like this. Oh, now I'm going to think about how the water goes through. No, because the water goes through, because it absorbs the sun, it has become such a beautiful thing, because all these functions are integrated into it. Then the brick, beautiful brick. What I want to say with this one is that now we're giving these blades to the design world. I mean, there's 50,000 of them soon all around the world, and I think we are showing the potential of this material. And they could be the new building blocks for architecture and design. So what we did is we built an open source website, Harvest Map, because we're working now for 17 years with waste materials, all kinds of waste materials, building architecture and stuff from it. And in this open source platform, harvestmap.org, remember that one? We share our knowledge about waste materials, so other designers can start working with wasted resources too. Because I don't think we need to dig up anything more, because we have enough. We have more than enough stuff. And we are facing a problem at the moment. We're facing depletion of our resources, and I think we should start reusing what we have. So that's why this platform is there. I hope you will use it soon. And this is like an overview of all the different, or not all, but a few of the different projects we did. So we built buildings, we did interiors, we did art projects. And usually in art projects we try to develop the materials a bit, because that's kind of our experimentation ground. And then we do a lot of research into how we can connect all kinds of other flows, because it's not only about material, it's also about energy, water, wasted human resources. A lot of people do stupid labor, while actually if we would make more labor-intense work, they would do nice work and get the dignity, like Michael Murphy showed yesterday so beautifully. So that's what we believe. We believe architects and designers can play a major role in transforming society by ingeniously reusing and relinking all the materials, resources that already exist. And we've been developing the tools and methods to do that, and we're sharing them on our platforms. Thank you.
Césare, that's so inspiring. And Coco in the audience has asked, how do you actually acquire these huge objects? I mean, as a design firm, how do you actually go about that? Because I think she's thinking I might want to do the same. I'm assuming Coco is a woman.
Well, she can do the same, but then she can look at Harvest Map or start doing that herself, because everyone can become a scout. What we do actually when we start a project, we go local. So we have the project here, and we look what is around. First we look at the site. Usually there's something on the site already.
Yeah.
There's a building, there's trees, there's stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
And then you go bigger circle, and then you look at the industrial areas around in the city.
And tell me, I mean, here we've been looking at, physical artifacts, but I mean, what things are being wasted in the world? And is that actually, do you think, I mean, as someone who worked at Greenpeace, something, I mean, what is being wasted, and how important is that to your work?
Oh, everything is being wasted. That's the weird thing. We are a very strange species, because in nature nothing gets wasted. And we're wasting resources, we're wasting stuff, we're wasting transport movements. I mean, ships go somewhere full and come back empty. We're wasting people, because we have unemployment, which is ridiculous. I mean, there's really enough things to do. If we would have nicer work, if we would make more labor-intense work, and put less tax on work, for instance, and more tax on materials, we would get, we would start to do nice things.
And is that an area that you think you may work in, or are working?
We are working in
that cycle.
We've developed a methodology that we apply to the materials, but we can apply that to energy, to people, to... so if there's an empty industrial area, for instance, in the middle of a city, you can look what kind of areas are around it, what kind of people are living around it, what could happen in that area to link other sources. So there's waste produced here. Can we start a little company by using these people to process that waste into something that another company needs? So you get micro economies. And so I don't think we should stop working globally. I think we should mainly think globally, work as local as possible, and some things you do a bit more regional, some things you do in a country, some things you do worldwide. But most things you can solve locally.
And your harvest map, I was thinking, firstly, how successful is it? But I was interested in finding out how many people use it. But perhaps, is there an issue? I mean, do you have to offer an amnesty? Do people feel a little bit embarrassed? Some organisations about the waste that they're creating, and they sort of want to hand it to you quietly, or are they very open and they want to give it to you with in full view?
Like everything, they're all different. Yeah. So some companies don't want to don't even want to know themselves that they have waste. Yeah. And then there's a scout in between. There's someone in between that does that work. Yeah. And some companies just want to publish it on our website, and some companies don't want to cooperate at all. But for now, there's still enough waste.
And maybe one day you'll invite me to your home. Tell me, what's it like? Your home.
My home?
Your home. Is it a super-use home?
Yeah, it is. It was built once in 1890. I transformed it a bit 15 years ago, and I'm still in the process of transforming it and changing levels and trying to get more solar energy in, growing food in the garden.
Well, I hope we'll all be invited for tea one day. It's been a real pleasure, Césare.